Okay, welcome all. Good morning. Blue, the guy who is connected with Blue, Juan Mendoza and Nicolas. Nicolas, thank you for being here, you three. And let's begin our second web conference. So here we are, Sena Territorio de Atla. Let's go to the course. And remember, here we are in announcements. You have to take into account this link, forums, to access the forums, course content, and grades. Okay, so let's go to the content of the course. Don't forget to, okay, here, Proyecto, click on Proyecto, then this is what I want to remind you. Schedule of activities, like please, you have to take into account that we are today, 24 May, we are starting learning activity 2, and the activities we will work on are the happiness advantage, timelines, and the blog pet peeves. The objective, the aim through these activities, narrar, is aprender a narrar anécdotas haciendo uso de la estructura gramatical y del vocabulario requerido. You also have the evidence what happened to me in today's session, virtual session. And don't forget that the last day of the course is June 22nd. So let's go to activity 2, materials and evidence. Here in materials, you will find the principle. You won't believe what I heard. That's number 1. But then you will find also additional exercises through this support material. Okay, so we will check this material. Don't forget to look to the multimedia version, because here you will find pronunciation exercises. Let me show you. You won't believe what... Okay, and besides that, you can listen to the activity, so you will be practicing listening, reading comprehension through the practices, writing, and pronunciation. So please go to this material. And the evidence, we have the activity, the happiness advantage timelines and blog pet peeves. Here you can download the material, and then after you do all the activities, then you submit the activity through this link here in the same page, but evidencia. Then here we have also the interactive activity, what happened to me. You click on bird corn. So let's go to the material. You won't believe it. Let's start. with the activity we have for today. So I prepare for you a short presentation. Let's see if you can see it. And I want to show you this. You won't believe what I heard. That's the main material we have for this unit, learning activity 2. And in this activity, we are going to review some grammar related to past perfect tense and simple past, adverbs and time expressions we use to talk in these tenses, in these past perfect and simple past tenses. And you will also find some vocabulary related to feelings and emotions, and then some information to help you build longer structures to talk about anecdotes and stories in English, okay? So what I prepare, but here you have all the information. You know, here you will find information about how to use the past perfect and the simple past, the structure, the adverbs, and all that information, the vocabulary, and some tips to build longer structures to talk about stories and anecdotes in English. So here I prepare a short presentation where I will explain to you how to use the past perfect and the simple past. Here I will explain past perfect simple, but okay, there is a problem with Felipe Cruz connection. Let me see. Okay, welcome to, you are twice, Felipe Cruz. Okay, welcome, Felipe. So here we have past perfect simple. Remember that when we talk about past tenses, past tense, remember we use the auxiliary did, and we also use the, okay, auxiliary, and we also use the verbs in their past tense, their past forms. So we have regular and irregular. Regular with the D, remember? And irregular are irregular, so you have a full list of irregular verbs. You can find in your dictionaries, printed dictionaries online, you can download irregular verbs. It is important for you to notice that, because also in I believe it's in English that works 3 or 4. We see in the last 2 courses, we see present perfect. So remember that for perfect sentences, perfect tenses, we use an auxiliary, and that auxiliary is have or had. In this case, because we are talking about past, we will use the auxiliary of the perfect tense in the past. That is past perfect tense. The auxiliary is had. So here we have, let me see, sorry teacher. Okay, yes, I saw that, Felipe, don't worry. This is an instruction on how to use past perfect, a finished action before a second point in the past. Okay, this is an instruction to use past perfect and past simple. Let me put here past simple. A finished action before a second point in the past. Do you understand that? That means this is the timeline, okay? Here, there is an action. That action stopped. And there is another action in the past. And then this is the present. This is the present moment. So we use past perfect to talk about a past that is before another specific point in the past. I hope you understand this. ¿Cierto? Hablamos del pasado perfecto como una acción pasada finalizada que es anterior a otra acción en un pasado. Entonces acá les hice una línea de tiempo. Pasado, 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 una acción, finalizó, hubo otra acción, este es el presente. When we arrived, the film had started. That means that first the film started, then we arrived. And this is very simple in Spanish. It's very similar to Spanish. Cuando llegamos, la película ya había iniciado. Ese ya había iniciado, ¿cierto? Fue algo que ocurrió antes de que nosotros llegáramos. We usually use the past perfect to make it clear which action happened first. Maybe we are already talking about something in the past and we want to mention something else that is further back in time. This is often used to explain or give a reason for something in the past. El pasado perfecto no es muy común, ni en español, ni en inglés, ¿cierto? Son complejos. They are very complex tenses. And they are not used so often, you know? But here we are learning how to use it. And you have to use the past perfect simple related to the past simple. Este pasado perfecto generalmente no puede ir como solo, tiene que ir añadido a otro pasado que es el simple. If I say, the film had started, si yo digo, la película ya había iniciado, en sí sola no es una oración. That's not a full, meaningful, you know, sentence. It is not. Cuando yo les digo eso, de alguna forma, cuando usted escucha esa oración, de alguna forma usted siente que hay una conversación antes y una conversación después cuando yo digo esa oración. O sea, hay un contexto para yo haber dicho esto. The film had started. ¿Sí? Pero en sí sola no es una oración completa. And here we say, okay, when you want to explain or when you want to identify something that happened before what I am talking about, you know, here is what it says. Here's some more examples. I'd eaten dinner, so I wasn't hungry. It had snowed in the night, so the bus didn't arrive. Y aquí ustedes van a entender. Okay, thank you, Nicolás, for your partners. That's great. Acá vamos a empezar a usar que este had puede ser contraído. Pues bueno, no, en español no se dice contraído. Contraction in English, but in Spanish is, se puede abreviar, ¿cierto? I had eaten, ¿cierto? I'd eaten dinner, so I wasn't hungry. It had snowed in the night, so the bus didn't arrive. Esta es la razón por la cual no llegó el bus no llegó esta mañana, ¿sí? ¿Y por qué? Porque había, por favor, no, denle atrás, por favor, no señalen la pantalla los que están trabajando en tablets y en sus teléfonos. ¿Sí? Porque había llovido toda la noche. If it's clear which action happened first, if we use the words before or after, for example, the past perfect is optional. The film started before we arrived. Este es como más común en inglés, lo que les decía. Acá lo estamos aprendiendo a usarlo, pero en inglés es más común utilizar pasado, pasado, pasado y utilizar algunos time expressions. In this case, the film started before we arrived. Acá estoy utilizando los dos pasados simples, ¿cierto? La película comenzó antes de que nosotros llegáramos. Es como más sencillo, no hay que pensarlo tanto, pero es excelente for learning English, you know, like to achieve really good understanding and very good speaking, you have to practice perfect tenses and past perfect. You know, here there is another something it started in the past, a continued up to another action or time in the past. This is another use of the past perfect. The past perfect tells us how long, just like the present perfect, como les decía al inicio. But this time the action continues up to a point in the past rather than the present. Usually we use for time. We can also use the past perfect continuous here, so we most often use the past perfect simple with stated verbs. Examples for this. When he graduated, he had been in London for 6 years. When he graduated, past simple, he had been in London for 6 years. That is past perfect simple. That means that he arrived in London 6 years before he graduated and lived there until he graduated or even longer. We don't know, yeah? On the 20th of July, I'd worked here for 3 months. That's another example. And this is, sorry, I said century. On the 20th of July, I worked here for 3 months. That means this is a point in the future, and from the past until that point in the future, I had worked for 3 months. Este es muy común, ¿cierto? De poner un punto en el futuro en un pasado y hacer el cálculo. Al 20 de julio, ¿cierto? Yo habré trabajado aquí 3 meses. Es algo que empezó en el pasado, continúa, 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 y en un punto en el futuro van a ser 3 meses de estar trabajando acá. Another, to talk about unreal or imaginary things in the past in the same way that we use the past simple to talk about unreal or imaginary things in the present. We use the past perfect one step back in time to talk about unreal things in the past. This is common in the third conditional and after which. Recuerden que en uno de los condicionales, you are seeing conditional. You've been studying conditional since English that works 3. So if I had known you were ill, I will have visited you. Remember that conditional? Si yo hubiese sabido que estás enfermo, te hubiese visitado. Habría ido a visitarte. Entonces es una situación irreal o una situación imaginaria, una situación que pudo haber pasado a partir de esta condición y ahí se expresa el pasado perfecto. Cuando veamos el tercer condicional, ustedes lo veremos pues más en detalle, pero es uno de los usos más comunes. Remember, I said at the beginning, we don't often use past perfect simple, no se usa mucho, but this is, the most common way to use past perfect in the third conditional. And here we have the structure. On the material, you also have the structure. Me parece terrible que Zoom permita que las personas rayen la información de manera colectiva. Las pantallas. Grammar structure. Tenemos acá el sujeto, el auxiliar, had. Remember that always in the past perfect tenses, as I said, we use, in perfect tenses, we use have had. We are seeing past perfect tense, so the auxiliary is had. And always in perfect tenses, the main verb goes in its participle form, past participle form. That is the third column in irregular verb list. Eaten, drunk, canceled, had eaten, had drunk, had canceled, hadn't eaten. Okay, here you have the affirmative, the negative, the auxiliaries in English are used to form the negative form and also the interrogative. We use had to ask the question and for put the adverb not. So here you find the whole information about the grammar structure. Here we have some exercises, so I want you, this is also what I had explained. Past, a past before, a point in the past. Here we have some more example. I have never seen such a beautiful beach before I went to Kauai. I did not have any money because I had lost my wallet. Tony knew Istanbul so well because he had visited the city several times. Had Susan ever studied Thai before she moved to Thailand? And here some more. Here, please, the exercises. So I want you to participate and do this exercise. We have Felipe, Juan, Nicolas, and the guy who is blue. Okay. I can't believe, and here we have to put the verb get. We have to decide if the verb goes in simple past or simple perfect past, simple. So I want you to do this exercise with me. What about Nicolás? I can't believe, y vamos a usar, let's use the chat here. To use the activity. ¿Cómo iría el verbo ahí? ¿Iría en pasado simple o en pasado perfecto? Simple. Ay, ahí sí no raya en la pantalla. Wow. Emocionante. Vamos a continuar. Dice, I can't believe. La opción sería, I had gotten that apartment. That apartment. Podría ser uno u otro. Todo se está hablando en el pasado. My application last week, but I didn't think I had a chance of actually getting it. When I up to take a look around, there were at least 20 other people who, before me, most of them out their applications and were already living. The landlord said I could still apply, so I did. Very good, Nicolas. In that case, we can put it in past simple. I can't believe. ¿Y cuál es el pasado simple de ese verbo? Please. Good. That's irregular. So I can't believe I got the apartment. I got that apartment. Because, ¿cierto? No puedo creer que yo haya obtenido ese apartamento. Good one. ¿Por qué? Porque cuando yo llevé mi aplicación, también pasado, ¿cómo iría el verbo submit? ¿Cuál es el pasado de ese verbo? Acá es donde uno se da cuenta si los estudiantes usan demasiado Google Translate, porque para estar en nivel 5, ninguna recuerda, tienen que ir a buscar a Google. Submitted, when I submitted my application last week. Punto, un punto específico en el pasado. ¿Cuándo lo hice? La semana pasada. But I didn't think I had a chance of actually getting it. ¿Cierto? Lo envié la aplicación para ese apartamento la semana pasada, pero la verdad nunca creí. ¿Por qué? Ahí va a explicar. When I showed up to take a look around, pasado simple, there were at least 20 other people. Y cuando él llegó, resulta que habían muchas más personas que ya habían llegado. O sea que acá iría pasado perfecto. ¿Y cómo sería? When I showed up, pasado simple, other people who had arrived before me. Porque es pasado perfecto con had arrived y con el verbo en participio pasado, before me. Most of them, la mayoría ya había entregado su aplicación. O sea que este también va en pasado perfecto. Most of them had already filled out their applications and were already leaving. Ya se estaban yendo. Habían 20 como que ya se estaban yendo. The landlord said I could still apply, so I did. I tried, pasado simple, to fill out the form, but I couldn't answer half of the questions. They wanted me to include references, but I didn't want to list my previous landlord because I had some problems with him in the past and I knew he wouldn't recommend me. I ended up listing my father as a reference. It was a total luck that he decided to give me the apartment. It turns out that the landlord and my father went to high school together. He decided that I could have the apartment before he looked at my credit report. I really lucked out. Recomendación, no hacer mucho uso de Google, sino realmente mirar el material y no responder a la loca. Acá ustedes encuentran otra información adicional. Cuándo usar when, cuándo usar after, estos adverbios. Y lo más importante, acá vocabulary about feelings and emotion. This is a vocabulary list. And this is very good because here you found phrases to talk about anecdotes and how to build full stories. So please check that information on the material. For me, it was very important for you to know how to structure the past perfect tense, which is a little bit difficult and tricky for most of you. Here we have at the last part of this second web conference, we have the learning activity 2, the happiness advantage in this activity. You have to write a full anecdote using the structures we have here in this part of the material. Here we have an example. Sean Anchor consider that happiness is the key to success, and it states that if you can find a way to get your brain positive, your success rate will increase. Taking into account Anchor's statement, share an anecdote where you describe a story that shaped your personal view about success and happiness. Use the anecdote template from the study material. Also make sure you use the past perfect, at least 8 adjectives from the introductory material and the time expressions you have practiced in this learning activity, considering the following aspects. So you have to take advantage of your happiness on the happiest events, anecdotes you have in your life, and write a short anecdote, a short story where you explain how that event, that happy event, shaped your the way you are now. This is the first part of the activity. Van a escribir una anécdota, ¿cierto? Sacando pues como ventaja de esos momentos más felices en sus vidas y tratando de explicar por qué ese momento, de alguna forma, ese momento feliz, de alguna forma ha hecho la persona que usted es hoy, ¿cierto? Acá encuentran un ejemplo. En la segunda parte de la actividad Timelines, for this evidence, we suggest you to visit our timelines.com to create your own timeline. Esta es una página donde usted puede crear su propio timeline and follow the instructions to create your personal timeline. Once the page provides you with your timeline, you need to identify at least 10 historical events and draw your attention and create sentences using the past perfect and the time expressions you learn in this learning activity. Below you will see a screenshot of what the timeline looks like. Below are some model sentences that, okay, we have less than a minute, that exemplify the product your instructor expects from you. Note, if there is any issue with the web page given, do your own research on the web about the historic milestones. Then complete the evidence as required. Okay, let's go back. Let's finish this and let's go back. See you then. See you in a minute.